Hello, it's a pleasure to come to you again today with another interesting Bible discussion. Please subscribe to my channel, to this channel. Like and share this video with others. Today I'll be discussing an interesting topic. Salvation is only for the chosen ones of Jacob. First, salvation is only for the chosen ones of Jacob first. So as we examine the scriptures, and we are going to bring out these truths so that the truth will set you free. Follow me as we begin by examining what is written in the book of John. The book of John, chapter 4, verse 21 and 22. Yahuwah said to her, "Believe me, woman, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, because salvation begins with the Jews." So Yahuwah the Messiah, in his discussion with the Samaritan woman, reminded the woman that yes, salvation will start first with God saving his people, which is the Israelites. Okay? The salvation will start first with God saving them. So that is the truth. God will first save the house of Jacob, the Israelites. For salvation is of them. They are the people that God has been dealing with. They are the people that God put in punishment. They are the people that God scattered among the nations and put into slavery again to be a punishment for their error. So salvation will start with God saving his people after he finished punishing them for all their errors. And why is God punishing Israel? Because God told Israel that he will not overlook punishment. He will not overlook bringing punishment when Israel sinned or rebel against him. Join me as I read in the book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 5. From the beginning, God told the people of Israel, as I follow along as I read verse 5, "So you must not bow down to them, nor be enticed to serve them. For I, Yahuwah, your God, I am a God who requires exclusive devotion, bringing punishment for the errors of fathers upon sons, upon the third generation, and upon the fourth generation of those who hate me." So God told the people of Israel that he's going to bring what? Punishment. So he will not overlook bringing punishment upon the people who hate him or who abandon him or left him to go and worship other gods. So the Israelites got to that point that they left their God to go and worship the gods of other nations. So because of this, God did what? Brought the punishments that was stated upon the nation of Israel. yes, upon the people of Israel. So what is the consequences of sin, or sinning? What is the consequences of sinning against the Most High? Follow along as we examine what is written in the book of Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 4. It reads, "Look, all souls to me they belong. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the sons. To me they belong. The soul that sins is the one who will die." So, yes, God told the people of Israel that any soul that rebels by sinning against or going against the commandment of God, or turning their back on their God, the consequences is what? Death. The soul that sinned, that soul will be put to death. So God will bring death or destruction upon the people that turn against him, that leave him to go and serve other gods. That is the agreement that God made with the people of Israel. Now follow along as we read the book of Romans chapter 6 verse 23. "For the wages sin pay is death, but the gift God gives is everlasting life by Yahuwah our Lord." So the consequences of sin is death. Israel was given the law. Israel was the ones that Yahuwah was dealing with. So the consequences of their breaking the law or leaving their God is death. So death will pursue every Israel that have left their gods to go and serve the gods of other nations. And follow along as I read the book of Romans chapter 3 verse 23. There is written, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." 24 reads, "And it is as a free gift that they are being declared righteous by the undeserved kindness of God through the release by the ransom paid by Yahuwah." So all Israel have sinned, and all Israel has fallen short to the requirement of God. Therefore, death will pursue or will follow all Israel. For that is the agreement the Israelites entered into. The wages of sin or turning against Yahuwah is death. But as a free gift, God said he's going to do what? Verse 24, "It is as a free gift that they are being declared righteous by the undeserved kindness through the release by the ransom paid by Yahuwah." Yes, the sacrifice of our Messiah, Yahuwah, because of the sacrifice and what has been prophesied long ago regarding the Messiah, some Israelites will be what? Declared righteous. They will be freed from this punishment of death because of the sacrifice and what is prophesied regarding the Messiah. For example, even before the Messiah was born, it was foretold that the Messiah will rule over the house of Jacob. And in the book of Luke, it was foretold that he will rule over the house of Jacob forever. So if he is going to rule over the house of Jacob forever, and all Israel have sinned, and death is pursuing all Israel, who is he going to rule over? So because of the sacrifice of the Messiah on our behalf, certain Israelites will be what? Will be forgiven. Certain Israelites will be saved as a free gift, an undeserved kindness from God. He will save certain Israelites. And let's consider when this punishment or death will be, punishment of death will be upon the Israelites. Join me as I read the book of Amos chapter 9, verse 1 to 4. And there is written, I saw Yahuwah stationed above the altar, and he said, strike the head of the pillar, and the threshold will shake. Say, cut them off at the head, and I will kill the last one of them with a sword. Say, no one who flees will get away, and no one trying to escape will succeed. If they dig down into the grave, from there my hand will take them. And if they go up to the heavens, from there I will bring them down. And if they hide themselves on the top of Carmel, from there I will search them out and take them. If they conceal themselves from my eyes on the bottom of the sea, he said, there I will command the serpent to bite them. If they go into captivity before their enemies, from there I will command the sword, and it will kill them. And I will fix my eyes on them for bad and not for good. So this is the consequences of the sins of Israel. God said as soon as the Messiah, the head pillar, is put to death, this calamity will pursue all the people of Israel until they are annihilated because of their turning their back on their God. God said he will take vengeance on the people of Israel. So since the death of the Messiah, this calamity has been pursuing the true people of Israel. So even when we flee to the mountains, Mount Carmel and other places to hide away from these consequences, he said from there he will bring us down. Even when you travel to the outer space thinking you will escape this consequence, say he will bring you down. And if people of Israel run and hide under the bottom of the sea to conceal themselves, he said from there he will command the serpent to bite them and put them to death. And even when they go into captivity, this calamity or punishment of death will still pursue the people of Israel. No one fleeing will escape, is what our God said. So none of the people of Israel will escape this punishment. And this punishment or sentence following the people of Israel is not on the other nations. This is for the people of Israel, for leaving their gods to go and serve the gods of the nations and to go and serve other gods. So the question then is, will all Israel be put to death for breaking the consequences of, for leaving their God and breaking the covenant. Will all Israel be put to death? Follow along as we read Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 65. Isaiah chapter 65, verse 8 to 10. It reads, "So this is what Yahuwah says, just as when a new wine is found in a cluster of grapes, and someone says, 'Do not destroy it, for there is something good in it.' He says, so I will do for the sake of my servants. I will not destroy them all. I will bring out of Jacob an offspring, and out of Judah the one to inherit my mountains. Say, my chosen ones will take possession of it, and my servants will reside there. Sharon will become a pasture for sheep, and the valley of Anchor a resting place for cattle, for my people who searched for me." So God said he will not destroy or put to death all the people of Israel, but he will take out of Judah and out of Israel, out of Jacob, an offspring that will inherit his holy mountain. So just like when a new wine is found in a cluster of grapes, so he will do with his servants. But these servants are his people who will search for him, not those who has abandoned him to go and serve for the other gods and worship other gods, the gods of the nations. But his people who turn around and return to search for him are the ones that he will do what? Allow to live. That is what Paul was trying to explain, that through the undeserved kindness, God will save a remnant of Israel. He will not put all to death, although the wages of sin is death. Through the undeserved kindness and the sacrifice of a Messiah on our behalf, he said a remnant of Israel will be freed from this death sentence, and those freed will be returned back to Zion, back to the land of Israel, to inherit the land forever. So salvation is first for the people of Israel, for they are the ones that this death sentence is pursuing, and they are the ones that God is dealing with. So you, the Negroes, and the rest scattered abroad in all corners of the earth are the people that God is dealing with. The wages of sin is death, but through God's undeserved kindness, some of us will escape the death sentence if we return to seek for our God, to know him, to understand his activities, and to seek for his mercy. We can escape this death sentence imposed on us. Again, Romans 3:24 says, through the undeserved kindness of Yahuwah, the sacrifice that he has made on our behalf, some will be preserved alive. Some will escape this, will be bought through a ransom, as if through a ransom, an exchange. For Yahuwah gave his life as an exchange for many. If he had not come and sacrificed his life, this death sentence will follow all Israel, and all Israel will be wiped out. But because of the sacrifice he made on behalf of the people of Israel, some Israelites will be ransomed or saved from this death sentence. And these ones will be given salvation and be brought back to, and God will start anew with these ones that he will ransom out of Jacob. For it's written that he will take out of Jacob the ones to inherit his holy mountain. So you that is listening to me, will you be one of the ones ransomed? Will you be one of the ones returning back to your God to seek for his mercy? Follow along as I read what is written in the book of Hosea chapter 10. Hosea chapter 10, verse 21 to 23. So only a remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people, O Israel, are as the grain of the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return, and extermination has been decided on, and justice will engulf them. Yes, the extermination decided on by the sovereign Lord, Yahuwah of armies, will be carried out in the entire land. So God already prophesied that he will show mercy to only a remnant of the people of Israel. Even though the people of Israel multiply as the sand of the sea, only a remnant will return. That is God's decision. Just like he said, he will take out of Jacob a remnant that will inherit his mountain. So salvation will be for a remnant of Jacob. A remnant of the people of Israel will be saved. So it doesn't matter how much the people of Israel multiply among the nations where they have gone. Even if they let them be in the billions, it says only a remnant will return back to the mighty God. The rest of the people of Israel, an extermination has been decided, which means this death sentence because of their sin of leaving their God will be carried out in the entire land. So we should know that our God does not play. So this death sentence will be carried out in the entire land at the appointed time. For only a remnant will return back to Zion, to the mighty God. So if you are an Israelite, you should be begging and you should be pleading with your God. You should be going to him begging and pleading, asking for forgiveness, asking for mercy by the sacrifice of Yahuwah on our behalf. For only a remnant will survive after God finishes what he's doing in Zion. Only a remnant will survive, a remnant of Jacob. This is the truth. Will you be among the remnant that will survive? Will you be among the remnant that will make peace with your God? Follow along as I read Isaiah 46, verse 13. Isaiah 46:13. Yahuwah is written, I have brought my righteousness near. It is not far away, and my salvation will not delay. I will grant salvation in Zion, and my splendor to Israel. So God said he will grant salvation in Zion and splendor to Israel. So you can see what the Messiah said when he said that to the woman, that salvation will start first with the Jews, the Israelites, with God serving his people first. So God said he will grant the people of Israel salvation in Zion, and his glory and splendor to Israel. And this salvation will not delay. It will come at the appointed time. After God has finished punishing first the people of Israel for 2,000 years, then he will grant Israel salvation. Because God has said that he will not by no means withhold punishment to those who hate him. So God said he will punish his people for 2,000 years and then grant salvation to Israel. And that's why the Messiah was withdrawn. After the Messiah came, he was taken back to the right hand of the Father, waiting until the appointed time to grant salvation to Israel. After Israel has finished serving the punishment sentence upon them among the nations, then God will decide who will be granted salvation. Follow along as I read the book of John, chapter 6, verse 44. John chapter 6, verse 44. So no one can come to me unless the Father who sent me has drawn him, and I will resurrect him on the last day. So Yahushua said that no one can come or return back to him unless the Father has chosen that person. So the Father will choose the ones that he will grant salvation out of the remnant of Jacob. It's not a matter of I am that or I am that. It's not a matter of works. Salvation is a free gift. It's not a matter of keeping the laws, for already Israel has failed to keep the law, and the punishment is being carried out on us. So salvation is a free gift. Unless the Father chooses you to be among the ones that will receive this free gift, you cannot return to the Messiah to lead you at the end. So understand the truth of what is written. Follow along as I read the book of Luke chapter 1, verse 32 and 33. Luke chapter 1, verse 32 and 33. And there is written, regarding the Messiah, it was written that this one will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and Yahuwah God will give him the throne of David his father, and he will rule as king over the house of Jacob, and there will be no end to his kingdom. So these ones chosen by God or drawn by God out of Jacob, these ones, Yahushua, the Messiah, will rule over them. Yahushua will gather them at his return, and he will rule over them forever back in Mount Zion. So understand the truth of what your God is doing. Unless you are chosen by the Father, you cannot return back to the kingdom for him to rule, for Yahushua to rule over you. So, yes, salvation is only for the chosen ones of Jacob, for they are the ones to be saved first. Yes, salvation will also come for some people of the nations, but I will discuss that at another time. But today, understand that salvation is for the chosen ones of Jacob, the ones drawn by our God due to his undeserved kindness and in faithfulness to the promise that he has made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to their descendants the promised land to inherit forever. So Yahuwah said he will not destroy all Israel, but he will take out of Jacob the ones to inherit his holy mountain. These are the ones that will be saved, and that is the salvation that the Bible is talking about. So you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It's up to you, the people of Israel, to decide or to go and beg and search for your God. For God said he will grant salvation to his people who search for him. Will you return to serve for your God? Will you leave the gods of the nations alone and return to seek for your God for your salvation? For unless you are chosen by Yahuwah, you will not return back to the Messiah to lead you. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you. I think this is an interesting discussion, and hopefully your eyes are open to the truth, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Again, like this channel, subscribe, and share it with others so that they will know the truth that will set them free. Until I come to you next time, keep reaching out for the salvation to come in the last days. Thank you.